Good evening and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 356th take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. The next generation joins us this evening, but before we get to formal introductions of our guests of honor, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible, and that, of course, is our sponsors. Tonight's show is brought to you by Drew Estate. Drew Estate has entered a new era, a new chapter for Jonathan Drew. That's right, Jonathan Drew San and Drew Estate have proudly announced a new partnership. Jay San & Son, manufacturer and tobacconist, comprised of a family cigar factory and brand, world-class cigar bar, live music venue, and full catch and supper club that exists under one 7,200 square foot in Wynwood, Florida. That's right, Jay San & Son resides at 359 Northwest 28th Street in Miami, Florida. It is the newest chapter in the Drew Estate story. Jay San & Son is the next chapter of the Jonathan Drew story within Drew Estate. Built as a generational establishment, Jay San & Son was inspired by the birth of Jonathan Son and marks a new level of relationship between Drew Estate and its founder. Every iconic brand has its origin story, says San. Ours is built upon loyalty, family, and purpose. It's a beautiful founder-forward story as the culmination of 30 years of building Drew Estate matures into the generational ritual of passing the torch with the birth of my son, Jonathan Drew San II. And welcome, everybody. This is our 356th take. If you're tuning to us live, wherever you listen to podcasts, wherever you listen to video podcasts, we're broadcast nearly every Sunday night from Facebook Live at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, or you can check us out on our YouTube channel, ELOSOFUMAR. Our video broadcast is always courtesy of Foundation Cigar Company. Nicholas Milo is a well-known cigar maker in the premium cigar industry. He is the founder and owner of Foundation Cigar Company, which produces a range of high-quality, handcrafted cigars. His values include quality, consistency, balance, and flavor. Check out foundationcigars.com today. Or if you're checking us out later and listening to us later, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, including iHeartRadio. You are tuning in to us courtesy of our good friends at Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. Check out all of our podcasting forums today, courtesy of Gran Habano Cigars. And welcome, everybody. As I mentioned before, this is our 356th take. And I'm pleased to introduce our guest of honor tonight, which is brought to you by United Cigar. Smoke one today and start living united. It's Mr. Litto Gomez Jr. of Flor Dominicana. Litto, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, Bear, I have to add, it's almost like you practiced that intro, bro.
Oh, I've done it 356 times, so you have to understand.
Beautiful. Okay, well, that's where that comes from. Got it. All right. I was thinking in my head how somebody could nail something like that, but I guess after 356,
yeah,
kind of it works, right?
The illusion, though, is it's practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvement. Is a lesson that my father taught me. So
I love that. It's a very good lesson. I wish I heard that lesson from my father. I just heard, okay, that would be perfect. I'm like, okay. But yeah, man, thank you for having me on. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. I haven't been on one of these this year so far, and I haven't done a podcast in I don't know how long. So happy to be here, bro. Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. Well, the privilege is mine, Litto. Thank you so much. And a shout out to our good friend William Cooper for making this happen. He was the one who kind of set this up for us and everything.
Coop. And I have to say, Coop really upped his game in terms of the outfits at Pro Cigar. I was very impressed.
There you go.
Nice. I was very impressed by Mr. William Cooper. I'm looking forward to see more of his of him dressing
I was gonna say with some nice threads, a little drip. Yeah, fantastic. Bro. I'm gonna tell him that he's gonna have to keep upping his game, and we'll have to bring some cool looks at PCA. It'll be great.
He's gonna have to be in a white tuxedo 24/7 from now on. He crushed it at white parties. Hats off to him.
What's your go-to look at something like that? Do you? I mean, I know you've gone to a number of formal events in your your young lifetime and everything like that. Do you like the traditional tuxedo look? Do you want something a little bit more modern? Like, what's your go-to look?
I've been playing around with it a lot lately, right? Like when I was a kid, um, when I was younger, I was always in a full suit with a tie. Unfortunately, now I can't wear ties. My neck is too big. I feel like I'm dying, and I'm extremely claustrophobic, so I can't wear ties for the life of me. But recently, and I think this may be because Eddie has joined our company, is for better or for worse, rubbed off on me. I've been wearing a lot of t-shirts, like the crop fitted and knit t-shirts
Hmm.
with my suits, and I really like that look. But I like playing around with it. I've like weirdly like jumped into fashion over the past couple of years.
Hmm.
So I I feel like moving forward, it wouldn't be entirely out of the question to see me in a full suit with no shirt. That's a goal of mine I'm working to one day.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But no, man. So for a white party or any nice thing in particular, I always at least love wearing a suit. I dress now pretty casually in the office. So when I have the opportunity, I like to.
Yeah, the whole like formal look has kind of become more casualized. I don't think that's a really word. I'm going to use it though. It's kind of become
I
more
like it.
casualized anyway. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it has.
like even like uh Eddie, we were talking about, you were mentioning Eddie Guerra a second ago. Like he's got a pretty obviously a keen eye on fashion. And like, I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw him wear a tie. I mean, he always looks great, and he's always dressed very nice, and I would say very formal. I would consider him a very formal dresser, but I haven't seen him wear a tie in a really long time. He's usually got some other kind of look going.
I think that people are are rationalizing and realizing that wearing a tie is absolute torture, and you could look just as good without wearing a tie.
Hmm.
So that's something I'm very happy about with society right now. So I don't end up looking like the idiot who never wears a tie. It's good. Happy with it.
You go. So what are you smoking tonight? What you light up?
So I'm actually not smoking because over the past 2 weeks I've had a sinus infection from hell.
Oh,
But
geez.
I am enjoying a really nice cold draw on a Solis. This, if it's all in particular, is one that I keep for family and friends, and I just like to smoke on my own. There, I'm sure you've had one at some point.
Hmm.
Pretty sure I gave you one at PCA when we
You
last hung
did.
out.
You did. Absolutely,
But
man. It was fantastic.
this is my go-to smoke. It's a problem because where I'm at a company that we make a lot of good cigars. I refuse to take this cigar and to smoke anything else, and I know it's becoming a problem, but um, it's my baby. Like I enjoy it. And on the other side too, it just encourages me to okay, well now I have to make another cigar that I like to smoke that's even better than this,
There you
right?
go.
So I am doing the cold draw on a Solis right now. Honestly, it's fantastic. Oftentimes I forget to do cold draws on cigars. I feel like that's a very undervalued and underappreciated part of the process. So this is nice. I'm not really complaining about it.
Yeah, I mean, especially with, as much work as you do on like, new blends and things like that, you don't get, I imagine, let's just put it this way. I imagine you can't really go into like the 200 degrees of smoking a cigar of like, what does the cigar look like? How does all the tobacco look? How does the cold draw feel? How does it taste and all that other stuff? And toasting the cigar and going through the ritual that we all go through as cigar smokers. I'm sure you can't do that 50 times a day.
It's the most
So
archaic process ever. You're getting thrown a million hot chairs at a million miles a minute, and you're just chugging through, figuring out what you like and what you don't like.
awesome.
So no, like I mean, even fully completed cigars, right? I find myself that I never actually sit down and enjoy a cold draw and really perform the whole ritual that is smoking a cigar. It's weird, but just because of how how rushed we usually are, right? Especially when we're
Yeah.
working. It's always the last thing to come into my head. And I always remember as soon as the cigar's half toasted, it's like, shit, like
Forgot
This is
about the
good.
cold draw.
Yeah, yeah, this is good. And honestly, I feel like now there's a lot of cigars that I enjoy the cold draw with more than full smoke. Um, just in general, it's a very underappreciated part of the process.
Well, we do have a ritual here on our show. I know this is your first time on my show, Lito. So what I do is I always ask my guest what they would like me to smoke tonight. So I'm going to give you a choice of cigars.
Yes.
I think you're gonna enjoy some of my picks this evening. But you get to pick, and whatever you pick, I'm going to light up and smoke. So um, you you introduced me to this wonderful new reblend that you guys did last time we sat down at PCA last year. This is the new Suave
Yeah.
Natural. Um, and it is the
It's a
Maximo.
Maximo, I believe. Yep.
hmm I have one of my favorite all-time cigars from the portfolio. I have a Chapter One that, of course, was put together by your brother.
Therefore, it's
I
automatically disqualified.
fair enough. I have the Andalusian Bull, which of course is pretty infamous now, and I couldn't let this opportunity go by without grabbing a
My
Soli
guy.
as one of your
I'm
choices. So.
gonna. I'm weirdly enough, if you haven't had a bull in a while, I'm gonna encourage you to smoke it because this is a great. I'm very happy to be here. This is a very special occurrence. But if you want to smoke the bull, I think you should. I think you should rock with the
I
bull then.
I will absolutely smoke the bowl. This is
Um,
fantastic.
I haven't smoked the bull and I don't know how long. Probably
It's it's been a while for
probably
me
when I
too.
graduated college.
Oh
So
wow.
like 2.5, three. Yeah, shit, 2.5 years. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Um okay, I'm gonna go ahead and speaking of the cold draw, I'm gonna go ahead and take a sample of that. Oh man. Gosh, it doesn't
Money?
change. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, that's good. Um, I mean, yeah, just gonna highlight something you said there, bro. It hasn't changed,
hmm
right? We launched that cigar 10 years ago on the dot. And
Yeah.
it's something we're incredibly proud on, and I think it's very emblematic of who we are as a brand. That no matter how many pack holders, no matter what demand, that cigar hasn't changed and it won't ever change.
It's unbelievable to think that this cigar is 10 years old. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
It feels like yesterday. I I vividly remember being at that PCA. I think, yeah, that's the year we had just lost a rep, so I was filling in for the Southeast.
hmm
And I was trying to pitch a cigar to everybody who thought, one, it was too expensive for an LP, and two, they're just looking at the shape like, no, this isn't gonna do.
This isn't gonna
and,
work.
and then crazy enough, I think it worked. I'm not sure yet, but I think it may have worked.
Yeah, I think so. I think it worked out for you guys for sure.
But
Um
no, crazy.
what what was that like, especially with I mean, you were so it was at pretty much at your beginning of you getting involved in the company and everything.
Yeah.
And then to see like the culmination of your family's work to get honored with the prestigious award of, number one cigar of the year and everything. What was that like from your perspective? Like just
Man, it was crazy. Um, it was crazy, and honestly, I don't reflect on it as much as I should. But I remember that day I was at tennis practice, right? And there was a little bit of a rule because at my club, they were like, hey, you're training at a high level. Everyone's super focused. There to play tennis. I would tell my family, try not to call me, right? So unless it's an emergency. So I remember it's just like halfway through practice. And my phone is just going off. I got like 10 missed calls back to back. So I'm thinking, okay, somebody died. Either the
Oh
dog
shit.
died or something. So I sprint over. I'm freaking out. Like my heart's a million miles per hour. And I answer the phone and it's my mom. And I never heard my mom. At that point, I never heard my mom curse. And I never heard her yell. We fucking did. And she was freaking out. Immediately I I walked out. I called my dad. He was, there's very few times I ever, I've known of him crying. Obviously once when his mom died, and then the other, the other that I remember was when I called him, and I could hear it in his voice. And, um, I knew I don't know if I don't know if I knew at the time how much it meant, but at the time, I, I, I knew how big it was,
Hmm.
right? And I knew that one, it was something we needed, and in a way, it felt like um, it was always meant to be, and it was about time it happened, because like my father, whether people agree with me or not, I don't think it's a crazy thing to go ahead and say that he really has contributed a lot to this industry and has changed this industry for the better.
Hmm.
At least I strongly believe so, and I hope everyone else believes so. But for him to have that moment, and this is a little more than cigars to me because, like I was born when LFD was a thing, but I live my life on everything I've learned through my mother and my father and the struggles that they've had and all the failures. So on that element, it hit home. And that's,
Hmm.
we're here 10 years later, and that's still what pops out to me. So yeah, I remember them that weekend at his tournament, and this is a really funny story. Um, I had a tennis tournament, and whenever I go, I play, I do well, and then and my dad, he went to go watch, and he picked me up, and we're on the way to a Whole Foods near our house. Um, And I remember he said he needed to make a work call. So he called our boxer or the guy who made the molds, right?
Right.
And he said, hey, I forget what the number was, but it was enough. It was way more than it should have been. And my dad says the number, the guy, he says the same number without an extra zero. I forgot what it was. That extra zero, and then my dad's like, "No, I need, I need 10 times that." The guy just like, "What the fuck?" We both looked at each other. My dad, with like that little smirk he gives, I'll never forget that. Um, but yeah, man, it's it that happening meant a lot. But I think what means more now is how we preserve that, right? And how we never let it change us. I feel like a lot of times you see this is something you see all the time. Somebody wins number one on whatever publication it is, and then from one day to the next, the integrity of the brand and the product dies with it. And you hate to see that, right? There's a lot of amazing brands, a lot of amazing blends out there, and when one has that success, it's great for the industry, and it's even better for the industry for that blend to continue at the same level of integrity that it got. So yeah, man, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy this little industry we're in, and the cigar you're smoking and everyone is supporting it, right? Makes
Hmm.
me trip out every time I really think about it.
That's cool. Well, let's dive a little deeper into it. Let's go into tonight's major point, which is brought to you by Gran Habano Cigars. From the fertile hands of Honduras, George Rico and his family put together the very best vintages for you. Yes, you, the cigar smoker. From value-based hits like Corojo Number 5 to the award-winning 20th anniversary to special projects like Zulu Zulu, Gran Habano is about cultivating the best and making pinnacle cigars for the market. Culture, tradition, quality, premium handcrafted. Check out Gran Habano Cigars. So, Lito, let's. I kind of want to we're going to kind of go all over the place because there's so much I wanted to cover, and I know we have a finite amount of time, which just leads us to the fact that you're going to come back eventually, and we're going to finish up at some point. But um, I want to take those memories that you were just sharing with us and kind of fast forward to this past week at Pro Cigar. And I wasn't there, but I heard that it was a really,
I
really
wish you were.
well. It's okay, man. Wishing I wish I was there too, so it's fine.
I'm gonna
But
give. All right, I'm gonna make some phone calls tomorrow morning.
sounds
I
good.
may know somebody at
You may know.
Rosendale.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
you
may
do
know
know.
somebody at Rosendale.
So your dad's now the head of the organization,
Cigar. Yeah,
and um, we'll get into that in just a moment. But uh, from like you said, when you were born, Flor Dominicana was already a thing, and we're gonna get into that here in just a little bit. But you you saw from a very young age what cigars were doing for your family and what it was doing for the community and what it was doing for and all the folks that he took care of at the factory, etc.
yeah,
And then fast forward to this past week's Pro Cigar, and your dad's sitting at the table with the president of the Dominican Republic.
yeah.
How do Again, I just kind of want to hear from your perspective, like where does your mind go when you take a snapshot of that moment and you're like, wait a second, hold on.
Well,
Do you have to do
the
kind of
immediate,
a reality check?
yes, the immediate first thought that comes to my mind is one, Litto Gomez is the last person that should be sitting next to the president or the head or the supreme leader of any country on this world. Like, this does not work. This is not good. Something's going to go south. Is my immediate reaction, right? After that, it's okay, does he have an LFD in his hand? Does he look good? Do I got to go over there and, like, because I have this long, arduous title. In reality, I'm just Alito's like babysitter, which is a title I'm very proud to hold, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Um, and no, but it is. If you look at his journey in Pro Cigar, that was the most picture perfect way for it to end,
Hmm.
right? Litto initially got accused by, I'm not going to name names, but by Pro Cigar when he first started out. I think when it happened was like 1995, or 1996, right after LFD began. He got accused by Pro Cigar that he was creating one-off habit offs. And obviously, especially at that time with a giant tobacco shortage and a cigar boom happening, the last thing you want is the most important families in the industry to, kind of say, hey, no one can do business with this guy. So the story goes, he kind of tricked them into inviting him in, and he pleaded his case. And he comes to find out that the reason he was accused was by process of elimination. And he put very he put a box of or cigars on the table. He says, I'm Litto Gomez. This is what I do. These are the cigars I make. I make these so I can build a better life for my family. And I won't let any single one of you take this away from me because of process of elimination. And if any of you want to smoke them, here's your box. And if any of you want to come to get to know me, you can. And he left his number and then he left. That's actually when his relationship with Alito Fuente began. Um, and yeah, so that happens. You fast forward 30 something years. Not only is he sitting next to the president, right? He also has all the ministers there. But more importantly, right? And I think at the end of the day, all these organizations are great and whatnot. And, having, I guess, power like that
Hmm.
is cool. But what really stands out to me is we raised the most money for Pro Cigar ever this year. Litto
Yeah.
added a new charity to Pro Cigar, as well as built up on the foundation of another one that's very close to our hearts. It's called Honorar para mi familia, a home for my family, which is an organization which Pro Cigar assists in building houses for the families uh, of the most, the best employees of each factor, but also the ones that are having the most hardship at the time. So it's a beautiful charity that we've also through Pro Cigar, but also as an individual brand, have been working with very closely. So we see all that, see everybody happy, and then also like knowing where my dad came from and all the shit he's been through. That was enough for me. I didn't need to obviously seeing him sit next to the president is cool, but like seeing that was enough. He's not an emotional guy. If you ask him, he's the least emotionally intelligent person ever. Um, but I could see it, and as a son, it meant the world for me, and I'm incredibly proud of the guy. And every year he keeps building up. It's crazy. It's more. He gets more and more Litto every year in a good way.
When he was elected in 2024, just, 2 years ago for this term, I thought, because I know the history and I know the story that you were talking about. And for me, as a fan of your father's and a fan of what the brand has done over the past 30 plus years, it's that was like you said, that was a I mean, that was kind of almost like justice. I mean,
Yeah,
not to be
yeah.
over dramatic about it, but it was
No, but it was.
justice being served, you
It
know?
was just being served, and it was very Litto. He's like, if one thing stands out is that he runs into walls, into brick walls head first, and eventually he cracks the wall, and um that moment was very emblematic, as I said, of him, who he is in his story, and that's why it meant a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, you know, w- that being said, like, from where you sit, with your father being the head of Pro Cigar and this festival being so and the organization being so paramount, not just to, I think what's interesting about Pro Cigar is it's not just important to the cigar industry.
That's
It's
not.
also it's important to the country of the Dominican
Yeah,
Republic.
and a lot of people don't realize how big. And I know, look, I'm sure Nicaragua is the same way. I'm sure Honduras is the same way, but we're the only country that a government, I forget the term, but has it declared cigars like a national or an item of heritage. I forget the exact term,
Mhm.
but they have placed importance in it. And it's not because everyone in the country is smoking cigars, right?
Right.
It's because of all the work through the cigar maker. Santiago has recently been nominated as, or it is, the International Business Hub of Caribbean and Central America. That happened because of cigars,
Hmm.
right? There's hundreds of charities that are helping the impoverished over there. Half them are through cigars. The Fuentes with Cigar Family Charitable Foundation.
Hmm.
It's more than just a product. It really is a community over there. And honestly, one of the things that I love most about it is that when you're down there and you're speaking to whoever, it could be somebody whose family grows rice or somebody off the street, anybody. You say cigars, and they don't get excited because cigars are cool. They get excited because they know like what we try to do for the country, and they know how much it means for us to be a part of it, and vice versa. And it's a beautiful thing. And then there's a lot of respect, and it really is a beautiful thing. And even without it, right, being able to do what we do over there and take care of the people who take care of us is number one. That will never change.
Does being the center, at least the ceremonial center of this organization, because cigars in its sense are the center, but La Flor Dominicana being the ceremonial center of the organization, does it change how you think about growth and preservation in the
I mean,
industry?
100%, 100%. But like more so that I'm looking at it through the lens of the legacy that my father will leave. Right. That's my attraction to Pro Cigar. On top of all the good it does, is really um at the end of the day, like what it's saying about him. Obviously, it reflects on us as a company, and that's a great thing. And I think even without Lito's involvement, we will always champion it because of the good it does. And as I said, at the end of the day, the people are number one. Um, and yeah, but I think that Pro Cigar, I think that LFD has done a really good job in making sure that we're not taking credit for Pro Cigar. I like at that Pro Cigar is we're two separate entities entirely, and
Hmm.
I don't want people to kind of think I don't want LFD just to benefit from association, because
Hmm.
that's not what we're in this for. That's not why we're doing it. That's not why, if my dad works the hours he works for Pro Cigar and I help him with the things he needs help on. That's not why this is happening. They're two complete different things. But it is a beautiful thing for I know when I'm speaking with my kids and whenever that happens. But and we're talking about the history of LFD. I know that will for sure be a highlight. And I hope we're involved forever. And hopefully if whoever the president ends up being in the future, if it's another Gomez, great. Cool.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah.
So, I mean, do you see that very much as part of your future as much as the company's future is like do you see yourself be like wanting to be a part of leadership in Pro Cigar one day?
I don't know Pro Cigar um specifically. I mean, like for me, I was raised a certain way that if you work hard enough, things will eventually show up.
Hmm.
So the way I see it is like would it be cool? Yeah. Um, is it something that I'm actively seeking? I don't think so. But at the same time, if the opportunity arises and I get something happens and I'm involved. This is so far, it's hard to think about, but like
Yeah.
it would be an honor to just if I'm the person to do it, it would be an absolute honor. Yeah. Um, but I wouldn't, and not anything to Pro Cigar, but I don't. It's not like I go about thinking, oh, one day I want to be president of this organization or that. I whatever comes to me and my family, if it's good and I need to rise to an occasion, I'm cool with, and I always honor that. But yeah, I wouldn't say that. Okay, one day I'm going to be president of Pro Cigar.
Well, so like on that note, and you mentioned the way that you were grown up and the way that you were raised, there's a really unique difference. There's a lot of differences, obviously, between your two different people. A lot of differences between you and your brother Tony.
Yeah,
But like, there was a time, albeit he was still very young, but there was a time where he was alive and LFD was not a thing, you know,
yeah,
and
100%.
and you were born very much in it. So you have this very unique perspective. While yes, you are second generation,
In a
you
way, it's like
have
a third. Yeah,
it's I mean third sort of, but but the point being is that there it wasn't long before you were born when the company actually was born. So you kind of grew up with
yeah, with the
LFD.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there was talk about a little bit about what that was like, kind of seeing where it was from your first earliest memories to like where it is today, and like what are the biggest differences that you can tell?
I mean, look, right. So, um, I was born in the year 2000, right? So we were 6 years in a business. So like I can't, I wasn't involved for a long time, obviously, but like,
Sure.
so I could speak on, like, I remember, like, before 10 years old, like, moments of my parents working. and that, but I don't know if that speaks necessarily to the company. But like my earliest moments, I remember Monogram 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like my first real involvement with things and like learning about like the industry was through all the FDA regulations. Because that's when my father was on CRA,
Yeah.
right? So honestly, before I got into this, I thought 99% of this job would be politics. I'm so happy it's not, but or at least my side of it is not. But it very emblematic of my father as well. For a year, every night he would sit me down and read Monogram 9.
You don't say.
I was like a 10-year-old. Yeah, I was like 8, 9, or 10. Some shit like that. It would sit me down. I had no idea what half of the words coming out of his mouth meant. But I remember that, and it to speak on the company. Like I think I really remember kind of when I was like 11, right? And I remember being in a position where at show we would offer deals, which is crazy to think about, but we would offer deals. And there was also something that, now I'm talking about, it really stands out. And I'm happy about this because this hasn't changed. My parents started this company with a mission of being retailer first, right? Mm-hmm. And, I remember conversations from when I was like 11 of why, and my dad would explain it to me, why he never wanted to open up with giant catalogs and things like that. And at the end of the day, the lesson was, hey, these people support who we are. Mm-hmm. They built this brand, and I will until I die, that's not changing. And I don't care if we don't make 1 million more, 2 million more, 3 million more. I don't give a shit, right? We will always be a retailer first company, and I'm incredibly grateful to have witnessed that and remember that, because it's exactly what we are today. That's been if I was a politician and had a campaign slogan since I took over, it's, if anything, it's been that, right? Be retailer first while also, asking for equal respect in our brand and the legacy my family has been able to create. But yeah, it's just, and also the industry has changed so much. I don't think I got to tell you, Bear, but it really has since those early days, right? I remember around that time too, LFD was right after we came out with full body cigars. That was like 5 years, 6 years after we came out with full, when we first started really getting full. So the craze was there still, right? And we had the old banded Reservas and the Photo Now, and yeah, Jesus Christ. a lot of cool shit. A lot of cool shit, but it's changed a lot. Without sacrificing any of their principles. I feel like we're still a company that we make blends with stories. We don't blend to blend. Or quality, that's never changing. Even if we could only make 100 cigars instead of the 4 million we're supposed to this year, we're supposed to this year. If as long as those 100 are perfect, we don't give a shit. And that's always been the case, and always will be the case. And like that, I think that's more important to me. That hasn't changed, that versus all the things that have changed in the company. We're a lot larger now, but the mentality, the drive, the purpose hasn't changed, and I hope it never does.
Yeah, I mean, just to put things in perspective, like I smoked my first Flor Dominicana when you were 2 years old. So there's that.
That's so dope. I love that. Yeah. Thank you, Bear. Thank you.
So that right there makes me feel a little old. But I think it's also pretty cool to think that, we fast forward a little over 20 years, and then you and I are talking on the show.
I think it's really dope. Yeah, I think it's sick. I'm honored, man. That's so cool. But that, and that's something that also, like, I always forget about it, because to be honest, like, when I work, for the most part, I take my side, my 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 head out of that, and it's work, but like it really is crazy, how one I've gone through it, but also how you know, and when I began repping in New York, half of my accounts opened up the year LFD opened up, right? They were LFD's initial
Yeah.
customers. You have Rockies in Syracuse, New York. You have Cigar Emporium of Yonkers. You have Tobacco Plaza, who opened up a little later, but he's a super dear friend, but a long time account as well. And like that, I think was incredibly important, as I was learning, just because again, when you jump in a role, sometimes you forget how much history there is, right? And that was my first job, so like seeing that off the bat reminded me that if LFD's Rome, it was not built in a day, right? And
Hmm.
and and when we make decisions, we're not just making. It's not just how did they do it on Wall Street and maximize shareholder value. Yeah, it's not that, right? There's people tied to it,
Hmm.
who have supported us forever, and I put clothes on my family's back, and that's at the end of the day, that's what's most important. You know.
Just to go back to when you were to go back to when you were younger and a kid growing up in this for just a second, like again, uh, bef this was right as La Flor Dominicana was becoming a household name and becoming a brand name. You and your him and your mother were building something obviously really special here. But that meant he spent a lot of time away. I remember going to several events where, it was him and, obviously the local rep or, a couple things like that, and he was doing that quite a bit, I imagine, as you were growing
Yeah,
up. So, you know, so was that hard as a kid to
yeah, it
understand?
was. I had no idea, right? And it was hard as a kid, right? But now I'm 26 years old, and it's all I've known. Like my dad works from Monday to Friday, and I don't see him. And yeah, when I was younger, it was incredibly hard because like no matter exactly if someone explains it to you, it's hard because I've always had I at any level, every child looks up as their father as their hero. Me, I think I may have taken that to the next level. So it's hard because like the one person you want to be around isn't there, and it's hard to internalize that, as a kid. So I mean, yeah, growing up, I'm sure I was an idiot, and there was a lot of resentment for a little bit because I didn't understand it. I think him and as soon as I was able to realize it, I humbly walked over and I'm like, I'm sorry for all the bullshit I've done to you, bro. And I understood it, that at the end of the day, he never wanted to be away. He was doing this so that I could have the life I have, my mother could have, and she was also working her ass off as well.
Hmm.
But so that his kids could have the life he couldn't even dream of. So at the end of the day, all the, uh, I guess, heartache or for being a naive little kid, it's worth it, right? And it's understood. And now on the flip side, when I have a kid and if I'm in a position where I have to do it, I'm going to do the same thing, right?
Yeah,
But
of
I
course.
will
Yeah.
say one thing, right? Even though he may have been 1,000 of miles away or whatever it was, he somehow always knew, when I had a bad day. So I would always get a call, always. Even if I didn't tell anybody, my mother, nothing. He knew, right? And he wouldn't always call me. So when he called, I knew it's because he knew something was up. So and he although the travel was a thing, he has been there for everything, and I'll forever being dead. That guy, he doesn't miss a beat ever. He won't see you for a month, but he'll get back. he'll know exactly what's going on, or at least try to understand what's going on. And it's been great, right? And again, I want to repeat this, um, all the sacrifice, I see it, and I'm incredibly thankful for it. So, um, and I'm happy for it. I feel like that dynamic showed me a lot of what it means to work and to sacrifice and to create a better life for your family. And incredibly proud and thankful for it, even if it came with a little bit of bad for a little.
That's great. Were there moments like that like in your earliest memory like that were associated with the brand that maybe like like today you're a part of this and this is like a huge part of your family and everything, but was there ever a time because of that it took him away and it took your mother away and everything like that you just didn't want to be a part of it? Or was there always this connection of like, you
There
know
was
what,
always, man. There was always. There's a picture of my dad walking me through a field when I was like 4 or 5, and I know this sounds crazy. I don't remember it per se, but kind of remember that moment, and I that is when I fell in love with every. I have a little kid, and my dad's taking me to a giant farm. What's not to like? There's trees to
hmm
climb, shit to break. I fell in love with it. But he no, I there were moments here or there, but I don't think, and I don't think that in a negative light, right? So I also want to throw
right.
something out that I speak about a lot too. Like, I am incredibly thankful for the way that I was brought up, because my parents, although sometimes it seemed like I was getting pushed out, they made it very clear that by no means am I obliged to, like, am I required to do this, right?
hmm
And they encouraged me to go find something I wanted to do, right? And that was always the case. Whatever it was, I had their full support, and they would throw me in a, cooking camp, then the science camp, art, music, all this shit. Yeah, I just was like, all right, cool. It's cool for now, but I like there were moments where, like, I wanted to be a vet, and that turned into me wanting to be a neurosurgeon. Funny enough, and not a lot of people know. Not many people know that about me, but for a while that was something I didn't want to do. But at the end of the day, a lot of things drew me back, right? Whether it was the fact that half the people that my dad were competing against were also my uncles in a way, people who saw me grow up, right? Were
Right.
Christian, George, Litto, Ernie, who now Ernie Jr. is a mentor of mine, and a super dear friend, and same with Chris, and they're there for me anytime I need anything, like, I
hmm
call them whenever I want. And it's shit like that I knew I loved. And then also there was something about just the product itself, how crazy it is, how it makes zero sense. But when you smoke it and when you have that moment, whether it's a good moment or a bad moment, it always all makes sense to you,
hmm
right? Especially after seeing the process and everything like that. And then the other thing too, like, um, a huge thing I was always thankful for in my childhood was being able to grow up on trips in the DR, right? I grew up extremely fortunate here in the US, right? Where we have to worry about the shirt we have, and the house, the car. We don't have to worry about what we're gonna eat, or like that. Like, it's very rare, like, you go over there, you see a guy wearing the same shirt every day for the past 4 or 5 years, and he has a smile on his face, and he's happy to meet you, and he's like, and that was a huge part of my childhood, right? And a large factor in why I consider that place my home, um, and everybody there is like my people, and my tribe, because it really is, and like, that's something that I've always been incredibly thankful for, and
hmm
I want to share that with everybody, right? And when I have my family, it's the same thing, so. it was all those things that just kind of always harbored at me. And then, then I went to college and I didn't think about working for 4 years. um, and then all this sudden the switch hits, and like 2 weeks after graduating, like 4 days into the new year, I'm in Rhode Island training. And it hit me, man. Like, although I was so out of my comfort zone, I had every reason to hate it. And not gonna lie, I did hate being in 19-degree weather and it raining, especially being from Miami. This is complete shock. But it was like, and you asked my dad, hey, he was very concerned. He was very concerned giving me a job out of college. But like, even though I hadn't thought about it for 4 years, a switch went off, and it's every conversation I heard from being a fly on the wall over 20 years of life, and I felt like I was in my zone. I was in a flow state, and everything it just like popped out of me. And I remember, although I have had the worst week of my life, I was like, I fucking love this,
That had to
and
be
I was
so
proud.
surreal, right? That had to be so surreal for you. Like, so like one day you're literally in college, you're living the American college experience, not caring
Yeah.
about, you're not caring about anything but, class and parties and all that other stuff. And the
Yeah,
next
I
minute,
wouldn't even throw a class in there, but yeah, sure. For
well,
the sake of my character, yeah.
the next minute you're thrown into this and it feels so natural.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. Again, there were a lot of things I had no idea what I was doing. Right. There's a lot of things I had to pick up on, but like the basis of it, again, the principles I spoke about earlier, that was always like a backbone and a guiding factor,
Hmm.
right? That literally every conversation I had when I was a rep, those were the only things in my mind, right? And that's, it made it easy to function. And again, I was kind of like thrown into the wild with a pocket knife and like,
Sure.
hey, go figure it out. And that's very emblematic of this company and my family. I don't figure it out. If you surprise us, you surprise us. I think I surprised them. I don't know. um, but yeah, it was surreal. It was surreal until I realized that every, like, growing up, every moment, every conversation, that's what it was for. Right. So it was great. And it's something I'll always remember.
What was the hardest conversation that you had to have with your dad when you were part of as you become part of the company, older in life, this part of your life, when it comes to the
Okay.
company, what's the hardest conversation that you've had to have with him?
Well, the hardest, I don't think there hasn't been hard. Look, so I mean, there have been, right? So the hard one was, you know, last year we introduced trade requirements and facing requirements. That because of the way they began and they still operate, I mean, we all do to a point, but they remember when, and I remember through them seeing it, but like when if somebody bought a box, a SKU, that's a win, right? So like it's kind of like how, it was a big moment, like shit, I'm this 20 something year old kid who is theoretically in my eyes completely, I'll always be completely unproven. But like completely unproven saying, oh, now we're gonna ask people to carry certain things in order to purchase others. And the whole basis of it was what I learned through when we had our back orders that we were not able to support the people who supported us, and we burned a lot of bridges unknowingly. And that's something we will always regret. But that was something I felt super important to bring to life, and for the company, but to also protect the retailers who choose to support us. And at first, they were like, "You're an idiot," like, "What? Are you out of your mind?" Um, it worked, right? And I will say, although it was a hard conversation, my parents, although there was a lot of pushback, at the end of the day, they looked at their kid who, again, had nothing on the resume, and they're saying, all right, we trust you. You fuck up, it's on you, but we trust you. Right. So that was an incredible moment for me. And not just that, but all
It's a
the
lot of
changes we've
faith.
made. And it's a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Let's put 30 years into the hands of some kid who partied his life away in college and couldn't get into business school. Let's go. And, um, and like again, it, we've made a lot of changes, and that was one of them. And I've had, although maybe not initially, I've had their full support and everything, or at least you know I'll go ahead and try something they found out, and if it works, it works. But I will say, and the day before I fly up to do training as a rep, right? And it wasn't a conversation, but it was terrifying. Um, and I love this. I remember my dad sat me down. He's like, "Look, I love you. You're my kid. I will always support you. I will. If you ever need help, I'm here. However, if you want to work here, there is something I need to tell you. And this is where I draw the line. If I ever hear that you have an ego, you yourself, not the company. If you have an ego with any account, that's it. You are done. I will fire you, and there's no second chances."
Oh shit.
And I mean, here's the thing. I got it. And I didn't bat an eye. I said, yeah, sure. I agree. And I went to work. And that was it. And that's the incredible thing about me and my father's relationship. You know, he's very hard nosed, but I understand it. And at the end of the day, like obviously we love each other, whatnot. But if someone needs to tell, if he needs to tell me to go fuck myself, it's her.
Well, yeah, that's
And
20 that's
it's
20 years of backing there. Like that's not a bluff.
no,
Like because that could have
no,
that
no,
could
no,
have
no,
that could have easily been a hollow gesture or
no,
just
no.
like
But I knew it
bluster,
wasn't.
but it wasn't. Right. Yeah,
I
exactly.
knew it wasn't. And it's not even that I wanted to see if it was a bluff, but he was right, and he had all reason to say that, and if that ever happens, he has all reason to fire me, and that will always like I'll never forget that moment. It was cool, and it's like when he needs to say something and vice versa, we could say it and there's no harm done, and it's
Yeah.
meant, and it's a beautiful thing.
The one thing that always stood out about your dad to me, and there's been a lot of moments over the years, and I've been grateful to have the interactions that I've had with him. But one of the I'll never forget this. We were doing an interview on this on this the Cigar Coop Primetime Special Edition show, and we were talking about just like one of his initial not initial, but one of his experiences or interactions with a customer, and it was a customer who said, "Hey, I smoke this cigar every morning." It was your cigar
It's the
smoke,
guy who drove 4.5 hours in Georgia
right?
to go
Yeah,
see him at an event. Yeah, that is another story that is very, I think about it almost once a day. He said it to me a million times. I hear about him every time, but and so for the viewers, it's my dad was in an event. I think it was in Georgia, and somebody drove 4.5 hours to see him. And he said, "Hey, Mr. Gomez, I don't want to bother you. But I just want to let you know I drove 4 hours to come see you, and it's because I smoke this cigar every day. I've been smoking it every day for the past 15 years. And whether it's a day or a bad day, I can rely on this cigar, and it makes
hmm
my day every time." And I wish I was like present to see that, but that's something that very noticeably hit home for my dad, and it really symbolized what he always felt without putting words to it, that he works for the people who smoke the cigars. We all do, that's like a golden rule at LFD. We work for you
hmm
guys. Um, and that's that. That is it. Yeah, for him it was a giant moment, but at the end of the day, it's very true. Like, and LFD is a brand who has a very strong like following,
Hmm.
and I know that wasn't an isolated case, right? I know there's
Right.
hundreds, thousands of people who smoke our product every day, and it is our number one responsibility to make sure that that product does not change. And that's part of the reason why we're so strict on quality control, why we don't mind having back orders if we need to, if we can't put out the product that's perfect, right? It's all because it's a very true statement, right?
Right.
And it's something we live by.
Sure. Well, Lito, I know we have a shortened timetable tonight with you, but I know the best part about this is that I get to have you back because I have so many more questions to ask you. But
No, hey, we got 30 minutes. Ask
yeah.
away.
Oh, I know. Well, we're going to get into the fun part of tonight because we've got some fun segments that we're going to do. And we always kick these off with, of course, our presidential trivia segment, which is brought to you by United Cigar. Um, if you're ready to launch your palate voyage if you're ready to launch your, excuse me, are you ready to live the United lifestyle? Launch your palate voyage with United Cigars. You can celebrate over 250 years of excellence with the Red Anchor, or experience elegance with La Giana Havana. Rekindle the spirit of 1776 and light up the skies with a firecracker, and then celebrate honor, pride, and accomplishment with a gold star. Jet set the globe in casual luxury with Atabate, Byron, Alfonso, Bandolero, or the Nelson line from Selected Tobacco. Don't just smoke, smoke United. United Cigars since 1901. United we smoke. So, this is a fun segment that I do. I'm obsessed with United States presidential trivia. I know a lot of my guests aren't, and some of them that's pure guesses and everything like that. So don't worry. I've got two questions for you. One's true or false. One's multiple choice. But they're fun. They're fun nonetheless. So, given that you're Litto Gomez Jr., I thought it would be fun to talk about presidents that are juniors themselves. So this one's easy one. Total, you can totally guess at it, but it's gonna be multiple choice. So which one of these U.S. presidents was not a junior? Was it Bill Clinton,
Right.
James Madison, Jimmy Carter, or Calvin Coolidge? Bill Clinton, James Madison,
Is it
Jimmy
James
Carter, Calvin.
Madison?
James Madison actually was a junior. Was a
Hmm.
junior. But this one was a little bit of a trick. They're all named after their father actually, except for Bill Clinton was actually the third. Bill Clinton was actually the
Understood.
third.
Okay.
William Jefferson Clinton Blythe the third
Jesus,
actually.
Barrett, trick question already. Sick.
But there's actually been quite a few presidents that were named after their father. Um, Even ones that were not technically juniors, like George W. Bush was named after his dad, but he's not a junior because he was George W. and his dad was George
Yeah.
H.W.
Yeah.
So, and then of course John Quincy Adams was named after his father, but but his father didn't have the middle name Quincy. So some cool little tidbits in there and stuff like that. But
I'm not a direct junior either.
really,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm not going into details, but I'm not a
Oh, that's
direct junior
funny. Oh,
theoretically.
that's funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that where the email handle is Lito D? It's your middle initial.
Yes,
Okay,
but also that it's yeah. All I'm gonna say is I'm not a junior, but I'm not.
it's a long
I
story.
may get
Gotcha,
shot. No, not even. I may get shot if I say anything else. So I'm gonna leave
gotcha,
it at that.
gotcha. Well, I got a next one for you too. So this is true or false. Okay, 50-50. You got a coin flip here. Gerald Ford or Gerald Rudolph Ford Jr. That was his full name. What was not actually the name he was born with. True or false?
That's true.
That is true. That's correct. He was always a junior. Here's the fun story. He was always a junior, but he was born Leslie Lynch King Jr. And he was actually his parents separated like literally like 3 days after he was born. His biological father apparently was not a good dude. So just make it quick and put it lightly. Um, Mom moved around, moved in with grandparents. They moved to another city. Then they moved up to Michigan. She married another guy by the name of Ford. And from the time that he was 3 years old, he was no longer Leslie, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
He became Gerald Rudolph Ford Jr. So
that's
he was
crazy.
on,
Imagine having your name changed before you know it.
right? Yeah.
That that's sick.
Well, here's the funny thing. Here's the even crazier thing, right? He's introducing himself for his entire childhood as Gerald Ford, right? Like that's his name. But it wasn't actually legally his name until he was in his 20s.
No shit.
Yeah, it wasn't legally his name. He just went by it. His parents, his mother changed his name to it, like probably registered him for school under the name and everything like that. But he didn't, his name legally wasn't changed until his 20s, right before he enlisted in the military and he served in World War II.
Okay,
So,
so there was a moment where he realized, shit, my name's not actually Gerald. Now I got to change it to Gerald. My name's
yeah.
Leslie.
Yeah,
Okay,
my name,
cool.
I probably would have changed it too,
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean,
With
because he
all
had no idea his name was Leslie.
Yeah, with all respect to any man out there named Leslie, I'm sorry, but I'm just
I
saying,
have
like,
no
I would
hatred to the
rather be
Leslies.
Gerald than a Leslie. I just would. I mean, just, whatever. And he was a football star at the University of Michigan too, so I'm sure that probably would have made the rounds in the locker room of being, him teased for it and stuff like
Leslie.
that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
Michigan man.
yeah. So that was our presidential trivia segment. So brought to you by United Cigars. Don't just smoke, smoke United. United Cigars since 1901. United, we smoke. So this next segment, Lito, is going to be I call it kind of a rapid fire, and it's brought to you by Artista Cigars, which is truly the last hidden gem in the Dominican Republic. With nearly 70 years of rolling experience, the family behind Artista believes in honoring their long-held traditions of handmade artistry. Artista's blends include factory-exclusive tobaccos and front marks for every budget. In fact, Artista has one of the most varied portfolios on the market today. There's something for everyone at Artista Cigars. Now if there's something you if now if you're like me and sometimes you can't decide what to smoke, Artista really gives a great breath of fresh air because I know I can grab something from almost any box that Artista has to offer, and I know I'm going to get a cigar that's truly special. So, Lito, again, this is a rapid fire. I'm going to give you a choice between two things, and you just pick, right? Pretty
Fuck
quickly.
yeah.
So, would you rather be on the factory floor or in the tobacco fields?
Fields.
Portfolio wide, natural or Maduro?
Natural. Yeah, natural. Honestly.
Oh, wow. I was not expecting that. Why?
Yeah, all day, every day. I like that. I, I lean towards. I'm not gonna go into notes because it's all hearsay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like, my palate gravitates a lot more towards brighter, a little more punchy, um, on the flavor profiles. So, I mean, you're more likely to experience that from a natural than you would a Maduro.
Hmm.
Maduros, for the most part, are a bit more mellow. They should be more mellowed out if they're fermented the right way. And it's more of a richer experience, right? There are some Maduros that I absolutely love, but for the most part, I will, um, if it's an Ecuadorian Habano from ASP or a Rojo natural all day, every day. It's not even a question.
I think that's one of when I was working retail for all those years, like one of the biggest misconceptions that especially when
It's ridiculous. It's
talking about LD
ridiculous.
was like, hey, the natural's actually a stronger cigar. And it would just like blow people's minds.
Yeah, bro, because like, you know, whoever in the industry decided that a Maduro should be stronger and started throwing Ligero in the filler. Okay, cool. But like, yeah, no, I personally like more like the orange peel, the this, the that, a lot more brighter flavors on the palate. So I will tend to go for a natural.
Nice. All right. Would you one of the smaller ring gauges in the portfolio or a
Smaller.
60 plus? Okay.
You
Do you smoke large ones
and
at
that
all?
no, bro, that's the funniest thing. We all hate large. We all hate our number one seller. we hate kick. We hate really full body big ring A cigars. Hate
That's
them.
interesting.
Can't do them. The only one that I have recently that I think is, from an objective standpoint, the best thing in our portfolio is the 30th anniversary. But I like it because it has a chisel and I could turn it into like a 50 ring gauge by
Right.
biting down on it. Right. So
Yeah.
for me, that's lights out. But like, and the rest of the big ring gauge stuff I won't touch. I think that like unless I'm smoking because I have to, the largest ring gauge I'll smoke is probably like a 52 on a consistent basis. On a
Hmm.
consistent basis. And the funniest part, if you ask any manufacturer, or I hate to say the word master blender because it's become the most bastardized word in the industry. But
Right.
if you ask any of the master blenders, I mean, these guys all smoke small ring gauge cigars. They're not just doing it to do it. I feel like you're able to get a lot more flavor, experiment, really feature certain tobacco in it better. Um, I mean, the Solis that I smoke is a Lonsdale.
Hmm.
Like
Does
it's just
does your dad still smoke? Like for like the first like 5 times I ever met your dad, he was smoking like a Chisolito. Does he still smoke a lot of those?
it wasn't a Chisolito, it was a Cameron cabinet number three.
That's right. You're
And
absolutely
it
right.
does not
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it does not leave his mouth. He doesn't
Yeah.
smoke anything else. It's the funniest shit in the world. He'll never smoke it. Actually, he's been smoking these a lot. And I catch him like grabbing from my bundles and just like putting it in his pocket at the office. I'm just looking at him like, you could ask, right? Or you have an endless supply, right? You don't have to take the ones that I mule over here. And he'll take them and fly them back to the DR, which is the craziest shit ever. I was just looking at him like that. But no, that cigar, when he goes out, if he ever goes out, that cigar will be in his mouth in the coffin. It's insane. He loves it. It's his every day.
Hmm. What about you? Do you typically like to pair with espresso or do you like to do it with a spirit like rum or whiskey or
So here's the thing. I'm not a whiskey guy. I'm a rum guy only when I'm in the Dominican Republic and it's being shoved down my throat. In that case, I love rum. But I drink a lot of tequila, right? That's my
okay.
go-to, and I like experiment a lot with various different types of tequilas. Um, Personally, and this it's not crazy. I know they're not meant to go together, but like a lot of the more like medium full flavor things we go, right? Like a Solis, for example, go goes amazing with like a very good blanco. So like I'll pair like that, but I never really like sit down and like say I'm gonna pair today. Like I just like I'm having a drink and smoking a cigar, like I know it's a good drink and it's a good cigar. It's just kind of
Right.
hard to beat it. I espresso, we was talking pre-show, I drink like 4 or 5 a day. So yeah, there's nothing like an espresso and a cigar, specifically the Cameron cabinet that my dad smokes. I don't, you smoked it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, smoke it with a coffee in the morning. There's like that is
Oh yeah,
I
done it.
think I think I think in the cigar world there's a couple things that you have to do to say you belong here. Like that is without a doubt the number one. Like that's number one on the bucket list. You need to have a camera cabinet number three with an espresso in the morning. It is life changing.
Nice. Let's take the Solis out of the conversation for just 2 seconds because I know you that has a special place in your heart. Do you tend to gravitate more towards newer stuff in the portfolio or older stuff? And I'll throw a line of demarcation for you. Let's just have it down the middle. 15 years. I know you guys are 30-year-old plus a little bit, but let's have it down the
That's
15-year
great.
mark.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting question and process because almost all of our lines have been around for 25 years at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you realize that about us. Like all of our lines for the most part are the exact same, minus think the
Yeah,
Oro is
there's a yeah, it's a solid handful though. I mean, we're talking
yeah.
like Lennox, Chapter One, Capitoya
Oh,
Dos.
yeah, but all
Yeah,
those are on the limited, so I wasn't even thinking about that. But
yeah,
oh, yeah, yeah. So, okay, we're thinking about the limiteds too.
yeah. Stuff
So
made in the last 15 years
when
or
I
before.
first began smoking cigars, one of the reasons why the Solis exists is because the first thing that I fell in love with were actually the Lennoxes, right?
Okay.
My first, besides the Cameron Cabs, which is my first cigar, the one I really started smoking consistently on my own was the Lennox, which is hilarious because I began here and I work down here. Um, but it was a Lennox, so I'll enjoy that every now and then. Not as much as I used to. Some cigars that so Suave we just reblended, so I can't count that. But when I could smoke on my sale in the morning, I think that blend is insane. I think it's one of the most. You're smoking it. I for where the strength in and where the flavor is, it makes absolute zero sense. You can put it across any cigar by any manufacturer. It is ridiculous. Um,
Right.
the new Oros, it's an older blend, but the new Oro sizes that we launched this year,
Hmm.
um, the number five, which is a Corona, and the Churchill, which is 7.5 by 52.
So fucking good. Holy shit.
That cigar has my heart, but that's newer, right? So, but that cigar has my heart. That's been the thing I've been, besides my stuff, that's been the cigar I've been smoking the most this year by far. It's so good. It's so fucking good. But I smoke a lot of Cameron Gallons
Yeah, I
and Reserva El Jaco Maduro.
oh, that's good.
That's the Maduro that I smoke. It's so good. So it's such a good cigar.
It's funny because we could go through the portfolio. We could spend fucking hours doing this, and just like talking about how fucking awesome everything is. Because like I've been like as you know, I've been a fan forever. Smoked through everything. And it's interesting. Coop and I have this discussion all the time. We talk about like brands and like in every portfolio, it doesn't matter how good it is. Like something always has to be at the bottom, right? Just something always has to be at the bottom. Like that thing can be not everything can be like your number one cigar, right? And it's interesting. Like if we did this exercise 365 days ago, prior to last year's PCA, if you said, "Hey Bear, man, let's talk about what's your least favorite La Flor Dominicana that was ever made?" Like, oh, it's easy. For me, that was easy. It's like the
Suave, bro.
Suave.
Yeah,
Yeah. And now
by far.
I can't fucking stop smoking them.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I
a
can't.
crazy thing,
It's
right?
great.
And
I mean, you guys just
what
absolutely
I love
crushed it.
about the
Crushed
project
it.
is how truthful we were in everything and how, like, again, very emblematic of the brand. This was our first line. We're not getting away with it. But guess what? We don't smoke the fucking thing anymore. So we're going to make it better. And we're going to take what we learned in the past 30 years and make it better. And we made it really good. And
Yeah.
I think it achieves the same goal that the Suave had, right? It's still for that. If you're a medium guy, you can smoke it. If you're a mild guy, you can smoke it. If you're a medium guy, you can smoke it. If you're a full guy, you can smoke it.
Hmm.
The old one was not like that, right? But I think this accomplishes that goal, and it's been phenomenal. But like, no, there's like obviously there's always something at the bottom, but I think what we do really well is because of the way we come out with product and how it's just so naturally occurring, everything is completely different from each other.
Hmm.
So it's hard to really, even me who has a million planograms and brand hierarchies and structures and this and that and ways to push and blah 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 blah. Like it really is hard because there isn't really a line that is profile wise kind of like the other one, right? We've done a good job of making sure we have a product for everybody, and I love that about our brand. Um, but yeah, it's tough. The one thing, but I forgot about a good one, man. The Hold on now. That is the most underrated cigar reality has ever made, and I think that is Lito's blending at its peak.
Which one? I'm sorry, I missed it.
The Coronado,
Oh yeah. Okay. I wanted to make sure I
Yeah,
heard it right. Yeah. Yeah, that
yeah.
that cigar is like that cigar is iconic in so many ways. It was like the cigar that for me, I couldn't stop smoking it. I have I have boxes of the original band. I have boxes of the new blend when it first came out. I'm still sitting on. And that cigar still ages and there it still hasn't peaked. Like the ones like
Yeah.
I have cigars that are like 15 plus years old, like the original band on it, and it's still smoking phenomenally. I smoked one probably like 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay, I gotta ask you something. So, like, I do go and smoke a lot of old shit. I probably shouldn't smoke that. I do get yelled at every now and then. They are from my collection, but he just gets mad anyways. Um, but is it just me or is LFD the only brand that the tobacco gets stronger with the age? Like, I have smoked some shit that's
Ooh.
put me on my ass. Like, I just like, and I know it got stronger for a fact.
Um,
I smoked that 1994 with Eddie the other day, and him and I are just like looking at each other like, what the
w-
fuck?
yeah, the 94 does get stronger. I agree with you there. As far as only brand, it's I would say it's the only brand where a large portion of the portfolio gets stronger with age. I would say it's
Okay.
definitely the only brand with where a large portion of it. What's interesting though about that though is I feel like the double hero naturals do do round out really
They
well.
do round out and they need to round
Yeah.
out. um,
There's a really nice sweetness that comes about in the natural after about like 4 years or so. Because I have a box of DL 700s naturals that I've been slowly chipping away at with like just life milestones. Like
yeah,
I
that's
smoked
badass.
I smoked one when my 10-year-old son was born. So the box is already 5 years old at that point. So and I smoked another one when my
One every
one
year. No
yeah,
shit.
when my 1-year-old was born um last year, so 2020 in 2024. So he turned one in just before Christmas this past year. So in 2024, so that would make it 14 years old. And I mean, there's so much. I mean, it's almost decadent. Like it's almost dessert like at that point. Like at this
Yeah,
point, like
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy. But yeah,
There are
overall,
there are a lot of ones that do round out, but like I don't know. There's some shit I've been smoking lately. I'm just blown away. I had a DLA original release recently. Um, Probably the
yeah,
best cigar I've smoked in a very long
the
time.
small batches will fucking kick your ass.
Small Batch 3 was the best cigar I've ever smoked.
That still packs every bit of punch, man.
Smoked it two
Holy crap.
years ago. I found an unmarked bundle in the office, brought it home, had one, gave one to my brother. We smoked it together. So I smoked two of them. And I go looking for it a week later. The bundle's gone from my house. No idea what happened. I'm still pissed off. I'm still trying to see if I don't know. I still ask people who came to my house at that time if they took the fucking
That's funny.
because that was quite that to me was the I was like, I've never smoked anything better than this. That's it. That's it.
All right, let's go. Let's move into our one of our last segments here. We've got three more to go, a few more minutes, so let's knock them out. This is our Everybody Eats segment brought to you by Postania Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Postania Cigars is more than great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. With Postania, everybody eats. So, this is one I haven't asked in a while, so I'm going to go ahead and ask you because I think it'll be fun. What is a food or dish that you love that you wouldn't have tried if you had not been offered to or forced to by someone else?
Okay, so here's the thing. Because my mother's a picky eater growing up, and part of the reason why I was severely obese as a child is because my father took every opportunity to shove food down my throat. Shove it. And one that I was talking about it with a buddy of mine recently. octopus. I remember it used to freak me out as a kid, and like when I was like 11 or 10, he forced me to have it. We were in Uruguay. Probably eat it every week if I can.
It's
Like
so good.
the best. It's the best thing ever.
Oh, I
Um,
love it grilled. It's fantastic. Love grilled
Guan
octopus.
Guan too. The
Hmm.
one thing that I've never liked and I'll never like, and my father loves it and shoves it, tries to shove it down my throat. Have you had bacalao?
And can't say that I have.
The the it's fermented and cured a cod.
I've had
It's from
fermented
North
fish. I
Spain.
haven't. Yeah, I haven't had fermented cod. I've had
It's
fermented fish, but I haven't had
it's
fermented cod.
fucking disgusting, dude.
Oh, that's
This
funny.
disgusting. It's like the worst thing in the world to me. And he shoved it. He shoves it down my throat every time again.
And he loves it.
He loves it.
Oh my gosh, that's
He'd eat
funny.
it. He because now he's switched. He's not on a diet, but he's eating a lot better. And he's eating a lot more fish. He eats bacalao like almost every day. I know
Oh, that's
it.
funny. I eat a lot of fish, but yeah, I can't. No, I haven't had fermented cod.
It's disgusting. I don't recommend it.
I've. All right. Well, this moves us to our next segment brought to you by Asylum Cigars. Refuge is more than a physical place, it could be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. So light up an asylum and choose your refuge. So, every so often, like cigars are very much, obviously, very much community based, right? Like we get together and smoke, whether it's two people or a group of people, it's very much about the community. But and it's your job. So you're smoking cigars all the time. You're in the factory. You're working with your dad and your brother, and you're doing your own stuff. And you know, a lot of it's work. But every so often, there's got to be a moment, and you've probably had several in your young life that you've where it's just you and the cigar. Nobody else is around. It's just you and the cigar. What was that moment like? Pick one. You don't have to pick your favorite or anything like that, but pick one. Tell us what it was about and if you can remember what you were smoking.
I don't even. That's a crazy question. But like, I truly, to me, the best time to smoke a cigar, and I don't do it quite often. So when I do, it means something to me. Is I'm alone and nobody's pissing me off. Like, and that's a big one. Um, you know, shit. Another good one is like when not much is going on and we're at the farm. There's nothing like smoking a cigar on the farm and like reflecting on whatever. But like for me, when I smoke alone, right, it's usually in a time where I need to be doing some reflection. So like, um, it's always been great to me. I can't think of a specific moment. I remember there, actually, yeah, I remember smoking a Lennox and I was like 16 in my parents' neighborhood. There was a little park for the kids. I'm on like the jungle gym and I'm just sitting there. Something had happened just in my life. And I sat and I just for an hour and a half smoked this Lennox and then it was one of those moments where I was just, again, I was like, oh, I fucking love this stuff. This is cool. Um, but like, yeah, usually when I smoke like alone, it's for a moment like that, and every time it comes through and it helps me. When I there was once in college where I was, enjoying college, but and I had a realization that like maybe this isn't like my purpose. This isn't me. And I remember like sitting outside of my frat house on the patio on a foldable chair and smoking one of my Solises right before it got launched. Um, and yeah, a lot of big. Actually, that's summer. There was a PCA that I was. Wait, yeah, I was old enough. No, it was a PCA I was completely sober at. Like I went sober for 4 months at one point, and like it came from that, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And I'm excited to do it again at some point. So I don't even drink that much anymore. But yeah, man, like cigars really like it's cool smoking with people. I will always remember the conversation shared and how special those moments are. But like really for me, it's always been like a moment where I could just the world shuts off, everyone shuts up, nobody bothers me, and it's peace.
Hmm. It's awesome.
And we need more of that.
For sure. Absolutely.
There would be no wars if everybody did that once a day.
Tell me about it. Well, this is the last question of the evening here, Litto. So here we go. So this is the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust curveball segment. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter since the company's inception. Steve Saka has been knocking them out of the park 10 consecutive years. The consensus top three. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve Saka. We talked a little bit about, and you kind of mentioned moments during our conversation tonight, Litto, about your family's legacy, what your father and mother have built, how you're a part of that story and everything. So let's fast forward 15 years from now. Okay. 15 years from now, what what does everyone know? What would you like everyone to know what LFD is known for?
That's a really good question, man. There's a million things, right? Like, at least for me, right? Kind of what will always take the forefront, and not for anything other than just gratitude, it would be honoring my mother and my father, and every decision that I make at the end of the day has nothing to do with me or this or that. It has to do with them and how it will end up reflecting the legacy. So, like I can't tell you what exactly that looks like. I do know that it will always be a family-owned company.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, we will continue to work for the people who smoke our cigars. And we're going to operate as lean as we can because it's what we do. I used to always say this. I do say it a lot, but I think of LFD as it's a little engine that could. Because in a lot of ways it is, like, and I don't want it to ever lose that because I think there's a lot of, I mean, you're free to do whatever you want and you're free to be creative and truly portray the beautiful story that we're trying to tell. But if there's one like quality, right, that I just like, I will forever see my parents, but also LFD as unapologetically ourselves,
Hmm.
right? So however that looks like, if I have any wishes and if I have any goals for the next 15 years is to make sure that we don't lose that.
So in 15 years from now, is that when you'll start wearing a scarf every day like your dad, or is it going to be later in
No,
life?
man. As I said, unapologetically myself. No, I don't see the scars coming in. It could happen, right? Because I said a lot of shit I would never do that I find myself doing now, like wearing a t-shirt with a suit. So there's a lot of shit I said I never do that I end up doing. I don't think the scarf, if I start doing that, he'll come after me and he will be around for that. So I don't want to have to deal with a me and my brother have a joke that he'll live long enough where they could put his head on a robot body. He's going to be a half cyborg, so he's going to end up retiring after both of us. So yeah, if I start doing that, I know he'll have a problem with him. He'll come after. But no, I don't see myself wearing a scarf in there.
I got the biggest kick out of this. One of my favorite videos I remember was when the hoverboard came out, like it was becoming really popular, and your dad, I guess, got one or someone got one, and he's like cruising around the factory and just
The guy ordered eight of them.
chilling out. Like he's got his scarf on, got of course the iconic hat, smoking that Cameroon cabinet, and he's just living his best life, and it was
The
the
guy,
fucking best thing ever.
I egged him on because hoverboards were sick and like whatever I wanted one. He got eight of them, two for the factory and six for the house. He would keep one upstairs to go from his his bed to the bathroom, then to the stairs, then one at the bottom of the stairs to go around the house, and then some for the rest of them. It was the most excessive shit ever. He never walked. He hoverboarded around for a fucking year, dude. A year. Yeah, he's hoverboarded around. And it's funny because like us kids, like, I hang out with my buddies on like, yo, who can hoverboard the best? And my dad's there doing like a one wheelie with a cigar in his mouth unknowingly. And it was just like this 60-year-old dude scooting by the neighborhood in a hoverboard. My dad has never taken walks in his life. He doesn't like going, just walk aimlessly, but he would go on the hoverboard across the street and around the neighborhood and just smoking a cigar, trying to get away from us.
It's funny. Oh God, that was a great video. It was hilarious, and that's awesome. 8 hoverboards.
And he never ate shit. I ate shit so many times. I never really saw him eat shit.
Yeah, I think that's the most impressive part. Is it takes a lot of balance, man. It's not.
And by the way, he's the most uncoordinated individual I've ever met in my life.
That's funny.
Ever. Like I often find myself when we're walking together, I have to hold him up because he's going. But yeah, freaking hoverboards. I forgot about this.
That's funny. Awesome. Well, Litto, that was our last question of the night. I can't thank you enough for joining me. It was a great conversation.
No, bro, thank you. And we're gonna, if you have time, we'll do another one soon, and we can get deep with it.
Awesome. That'd be fantastic, man. Well, for our audience, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for staying up late with us as always. We do really appreciate those likes, shares, and comments. Keep them coming. If you're tuning into us later on our YouTube channel, or checking us out almost every week at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, on our Facebook Live. Our video broadcast is always courtesy of Foundation Cigars. Nick Melillo began his career in the cigar industry at the age of 18, working in a cigar shop, the Calabash Shop, in his home state of Connecticut. He went on to work for a well-known cigar company, Drew Estate, where he developed some of the most popular blends. In 2015, he started a cigar company, Foundation Cigar Company, to create unique and flavorful cigars that would appeal from everyone, from the novice to the most experienced smoker. If you are tuning on to us later, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, including iHeartRadio, be sure you download, subscribe, and review. Our audio broadcast is always courtesy of our good friends at Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. And we really do love those 5-star reviews. But listen, we love honesty. We appreciate candor. So listen, if you're going to give me a 1-star review, you got to tell me why I suck. Okay? To the one guy who said, hey, my audio levels are terrible, hopefully you're still listening, and hopefully they've gotten better, and hopefully you can hear us now. But to the one guy who gave me a 1-star review and left it blank, as I tell you every week, fuck you. Got nothing for you. So can't help you out. All joking aside, guys, we appreciate all those likes, shares, and comments. Keep them coming. We do appreciate it. We're going to have some fantastic guests coming up in the next few weeks as we march our way towards PCA 2026 in New Orleans, Louisiana. We'll be there with great coverage for the Cigar Coop Coalition. I'll be sitting down probably with my good friend Litto Gomez Jr. there as well, too. Can't believe it's already coming up on us in just a few weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You just put me in a really bad mood, bro.
Sorry about that.
Oh, shit. It's coming up.
Well, from one bad mood to one great mood to all your great moods out there in the future.
Thank you, everybody.
We do appreciate it. Awesome. I'm Bear Duplessis, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. He's Litto Gomez Jr. Guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.